Hello everyone and welcome to my workshop. Now then, the big question on my mind is have I made a complete mess of this neck? To be honest with you, I've no idea. I'm going to keep pursuing with this neck. As you know, my philosophy is there's no such thing as failure, only experience. And well, I could be gaining a lot of experience in this process. Anyway, and while we're at it, some of you may have noticed that in a previous episode I actually put my chop saw blade on backwards. That was I think what's known in the trade here as a classic Dave moment. That's no reflection on other Daves, that's just this one. Anyway, thank you for all of those guys who spotted that. I don't know where my brain was. Anyway, coming up in this episode, I'm going to see if I can sort out this neck because I'm not entirely happy with it at the moment. And we have a great guitar story. A guitar built 30 years ago with limited tools and limited access to materials. And it's a fantastic guitar. So stay tuned. Not sure how we're going to do this. The first thing I'm going to do is radius this neck, and I'm going to try something a bit different this time. I'm going to actually try it with a plane, certainly to start off with. I only have a very slight radius on my fretboards, just 16 inches. But I've watched Ben Crow use his plane. I spent yesterday sharpening all my planes. I think this one is really nice and sharp now. So I'm going to try and start off to shape this fretboard. So let's get going. I want to take just a very slight amount off. So it could take a little while to get it there. There we are. Okay. Okay, this is looking pretty good now, and I've got the radius that I want all the way up there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish off with a radiusing sand block. So just take it to the sanding table. Okay, I've got 120 paper on this block. I'm just going to run up and down the fretboard there. I notice it drops off very slightly at this end, so I'm going to concentrate at the beginning on this end and then we'll just tidy that bit up. Well, that seemed to go pretty well. I had a couple of little bits of chip out there from the plane which I've had to sand down, but otherwise I think I saved a bit of time using the plane. I've gone down to 240 grit with this now, so what I need to do is just make the holes, the slots a little bit deeper, and then I'm going to fit the binding. But before I do that, I'm going to let the dust settle, and I think it's time for a cup of tea. Okay, so this will just clear out the fret slots and make them a little bit deeper where I've chamfered the edges off there. So just got to be very careful. Okay, well, I've done a bit of sanding as well, and I'm getting to a place where I'm a little bit happier with this headstock, so we're going to keep cracking on with it. Now the two strips of this fretboard that I cut off that I thought I could use as binding, unfortunately they go too thin, but I have got some more Santos rosewood, and I think that'll do the job. I just need to thin this one a little and smooth that one down a bit more, so we'll do that on the sander. I have to say I'm grateful to Ben Crow for demonstrating how you can use a belt sander to thin binding by having a gadget like this. Simple thing. It's got an adjustment here which just closes up on the belt there, and all we need to do is clamp this to the base. So let's get that right. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to run this little tool down the side. Just got a bit of sandpaper on the edge there, just to tidy up the sides of the fretboard. I think that's about it. Okay, let's stick the binding on. Okay, well, the binding is on. We just got to let it cure and then we can get on with shaping the back of the neck. See if we can do something with this neck. So I'll put that to one side and let it cure. Now then, in the previous Great Guitar Build Off, I played a track from a band called Colours of One. It's a band that I'm really close with. And I'm delighted to say that they've just released their debut album. Now, they've released quite a few EPs in the past, but this is their first full album. It's called Vessels, and it is absolutely fantastic. The production, the vocals, the instrumentation is marvellous. They're a great bunch of people, and they're a great bunch of musicians. So I'm going to put a link to their latest video up in the corner there. I do hope it appears. If it doesn't, it'll be down in the description below. And I would say go and have a listen to their music. It's on all the streaming services as I understand it. So, well, I just want to give them a plug because they work so hard and, well, they deserve more recognition. Now, while the binding on the neck is curing, there is a job that I need to start looking at. And that is how all these parts of the sides of the guitar are going to go together. Now, you'll notice this is my radiused surface. Let me demonstrate this to you. You'll see it's got a dip in the middle, just very slight. I didn't want it too much. It's just pulls the you know, the back and the top of the guitar out a bit. So it's made up of a surface there which is attached to a frame, and there are blocks on the ends of the frame there, and that's pulled down, or the top is pulled down onto the frame using that bolt in the middle there, so that it gives me that dipped surface. And obviously I can adjust that by adding more blocks on the side if I wanted to, but that's what I'm after for this guitar. So what I'm going to do now is lay out all the sides and see if they fit these outlines. Okay, so I'm working to the dotted line. So that's the bottom, and that's the centre mark there, just there, and this is the top. So that goes there, and then we've got what's going to be the neck block in position there. This will curve into that. Something like that. And then the top section here will curve round. Now I thought I might have to bend that a little bit more, and to be honest with you, yeah, I think I will. I've actually got the iron on now, so I can bend that in a minute. But that's looking how it needs to be. This is going to go on the back around there. So I'm going to need to make some adjustment on this neck block here for it all to fit nice and snug, and I probably need a little bit more adjustment there. I also need to cut these down to size, so I think I'll do that first. That piece fits really nice and snug, so I'm happy with that side. This one here, to be perfectly honest with you, I think it looks pretty good. Not quite on the line, but we're so close to it. Now the difficult part of this is making the join between the bottom edge there and this cutaway, and at the top here this join here. And what I did for last year's build was put a block of wood in these places, shaped to the contours of the sides, and glued it in to give it more strength. And then it was just a question of tidying up these edges, and I had to use a bit of dust and glue just to fill in any gaps. So I think I'm going to get a piece of wood, probably some of the cherry, and see if I can make those joint pieces. Okay, so what I've done, I've got a centre line on this neck block. I've lined that up with the centre line of the guitar. I've lined up the sides as best I can to the centre line and to the dotted lines, and I've put a piece of card underneath each one of these joints, and I'm just going to sketch with a pencil now just that shape. That's that one. You can see this one. Okay, and I'll put that L for lower and U for upper. There we go. Right, and now I need to cut a piece of wood. I've actually found this piece of ash, which I think is probably going to be better. So it's a scrap piece, so I can just cut it down to size. But let's get on with that. Just need to prepare this piece of wood. Now I think it's time for this week's My Guitar feature. Okay, for this week's guitar story, I'm grateful to Simon for sending me details and photos of his ES335-ish guitar. That's what he calls it. Now then, Simon tells me, I made this guitar over 30 years ago using the pickups and controls from a satellite Les Paul copy. Okay, fair enough. He'd never built a hollow body guitar before, and he'd actually never seen a 335 in the flesh. But undeterred, he decided he was going to build one, and he started on the construction. He says, my method of construction leaves a lot to be desired. Well, I think all I'd say is join the club. No, my luck at the moment. Anyway, so let's have a quick look through the spec. The top and the back of the body are 5mm 3-ply. The sides are the same ply, sanded down to 2-ply. The neck is oak and the fretboard is a hardwood. Simon thinks it's mahogany. There's no truss rod. Now, the guitar I made, the autumn guitar I made out of a fence, that doesn't have a truss rod. It has just a piece of wood, bit of maple down the middle. The rest of it's softwood on the neck. And, well, it's stayed pretty stable. And obviously, Simon's guitar, 30 years later, well, proves you don't perhaps always need a truss rod. I know it gives you adjustment. Anyway, back to this guitar. Simon tells me that he replaced the original tuners he put on a few years ago. He got some from eBay, and he also replaced the switch, the three-way switch. Now then, Simon made a Tune-o-matic bridge and tailpiece from brass. And now this is fascinating, and I'm going to come back to these items in a few moments. Originally, he left the body natural, just using a clear varnish, but he decided much later to spray it white with some rattle cans. Okay, right, we'll see it. Okay, so now let's have a look at the photos. Now then, Simon didn't take any photos when he was building the guitar, but his background is in engineering, so obviously he's fascinated with the construction. So what he's very kindly sent me is some photographs taken inside the guitar. So here's a diagram of the cross section of the body, and I have to say it's a rather intriguing design. Okay, we're going to go inside and I'll run through this sequence of photos. Okay, so we can see yeah, a bit of that wooden framework there. Now we're underneath some of the electronics, and again a bit more of that wooden framework, and there's some more of it. I think if you've done this with one of those examination cameras, I'm sure it looks like that. Yeah, we can see that framework. It's really intriguing design you've got inside there. Fascinating. And oh, I can see, yeah, your kerfing there in the, presumably like in the cutaway section, in one of the cutaways. Yeah, gosh, it's a fascinating design, and what an interesting view of the guitar. I mean, we spend a lot of time, especially with hollow body guitars, trying to get the inside to look really nice and all structured and everything, and of course you seal it up, nobody sees it, do they? Gosh. Okay, now you want to see the guitar, don't you? So do I. Whoa, that is a nice looking guitar. I love that, and those F holes. Simon said he cut those out with a coping saw. That's really nice. I have to say that Simon said he didn't have any power tools apart from an electric drill, so all this was done with hand tools. Incredible. Simon tells me, I didn't know anything about steam stroke heat to bend the sides, so I softened them with a little water. Then I cut cross braces for both the top and the back. I bent the top and the back just by gluing and clamping them to the braces and leaving them to dry. Then he made some kerfing from a strip of wood and glued it to the top and the back. Then he glued the top and the back together by the braces, forming an open box with no sides. Yeah, I think I can get what you're saying. He had glued the neck and the heel blocks in as well. Finally, he glued the sides on and held them in place with masking tape. So, gosh, that's a really clever way of doing it. And it's amazing how you managed to get that ply to bend just by softening it with water. I mean, I know that from experience now that you don't need that much heat to bend wood, but doing it without heat, that's really incredible. The fret slots were cut with a junior hacksaw. I'll be honest with you, that's how I used to cut all my fret slots before I got the fretting saw, because it was just wide enough for the tang to go in, and it does the job. Let's be honest. I do like white guitars. The first electric guitar I had, my mum and dad bought me. It was, I think it was sort of brown and red and black. It was a sort of a burst. But after a few years, I sprayed it white because I did like the white guitar. And this looks really good. It looks absolutely fantastic. And I love the fretboard and the neck there. Really nice. Got some nice big dots in that. And I guess these are the new tuners you've got, and they really go with it. It really matches in with the brass. I see, they're the pickups. These are the pickups from that Les Paul copy. It's a good idea if you've got an old guitar that you're not using. I mean, guitar I bought from my schoolmate, I've sort of stripped down and used the bits in other guitars. You know, if it's gone past its useful date, as it were, then yeah, change it. Now, the bridge. And as Simon tells me, he made this Tune-o-matic bridge from brass using a drill and a set of needle files. Now, that is a beautiful looking bridge and tailstop. I mean, that's amazing. You know, I would really love to have a go at making one of these. And I think, Simon, you've probably inspired me to have a go at this, because that looks amazing. Simon tells me he made 2 guitars before making this one. The first was a 6-string bass and the second was a 12-string electric. I mean, Simon, I see you don't go for the simple choices, do you? Yeah, gosh. He says, I was trying my hand at songwriting and needed the guitars to record what I hope were going to be hit records. No luck there. Yeah. You have my sympathy, mate. I mean, people don't know what they've missed, let's be honest. So how does it play? Simon tells me the guitar plays quite well despite being built in this unorthodox fashion. He says, I don't use it very much as I have many other guitars, and he puts in brackets, too many. So, I mean, I counted up my guitars that I've got at the moment. I've got 5 guitars that I bought, and the first one being the one that my mum bought me when I was, I think it was about 13 or 14. That was my acoustic guitar, and guitars that Carolyn has bought me as well. So I've got 5 of those, and I've got 5 guitars that I've made and hung on to. A lot of them have gone to various other people. So that's 10 guitars. And then I saw Simon's collection. And I have to say, I've been drooling over the photo ever since. I mean, that is a collection of guitars. Well, Simon, I do hope you get to play all your guitars, because I mean, that is an amazing collection. Anyway, Simon, thank you very much for sending us your guitar story with those wonderful pictures, especially those internal ones. I just love those, incredible. And what an incredible guitar. Amazing to think that you built that with a limited tool set, no power tools apart from a drill, and you know, obviously you were limited with the woods, plywood. Wow, gosh, that's an amazing job. Thank you very much. Cheers. Okay, well, the binding's cured overnight, so what I need to do now is trim it flush with the fretboard. Before I do that, I'm just going to cut these end pieces off, and I'll keep these because I'll probably put a piece across the end once I've you know, cut the neck to size. Cut that off there. There. I'm going to use my neck jig to hold the whole lot still while I do the shaping. So let's get that clamped in. Now, last time I used this plane to shape the top of the binding, and I chipped out some of the fretboard. So what I'm going to do this time is put some tape just on the inside. So hopefully I'm going to avoid any tear outs on the fretboard. I could just finish it off with some sandpaper to get it flush. We're trying to block plane. I think, if I'm honest, this block plane is working better. The blade's nice and sharp, and I seem to have more control on it than the little plane. I think I probably need to sharpen that blade a bit. Well, I've done it, but despite my best efforts, I still caught a bit of the fretboard, so I filled it with some dust and glue. And it just goes to show that this little plane is probably not ideal for it. This block plane worked much better, so I'm going to use that in future. And obviously the sandpaper. Okay, so I'm going to have to let that dry a little bit before I fiddle with it. Okay, so I'm going to shape the end of the neck now. I attach my necks to the body with a single bolt. And in order to give it strength, I cut an angle in the end of the neck there, and I use this template to mark that. And I cut a corresponding angle in the body, and that sort of locks it in place. So the first thing I need to do is just to cut this off at the 23rd fret, and then I can do that shaping. So let's get on with that first. Okay, that's that bit done. Now I need to cut a 14-degree angle. To help me with that, I've got this little block. So what I'm going to do is stick that on there with some tape, and then that will give me a guide as to how I've got to saw that through. So let's just do that. So I'm just going to use some masking tape, and then on top of that some double-sided tape, and then I'll put some masking tape on the back of this, and this should do the job. Okay, so now I need to position this carefully on that line there, and that should give me a nice guide to use when I cut through it. Okay. Got to stop at the line. I think I'm about there. Now for the next stage, I've got to cut a line straight across there. I've got a couple of marks on the side, so I'll just transfer that to the top, join those up. I'll just tidy up that last edge I cut inside. That looks nice. Now I think I'm going to create the heel of the neck around, it's about the 16th fret. So I'm just going to put a mark there and just transfer that onto the back. So we're looking at something like that. So if I just mark that down the neck there, and on the other side, and then okay, that there. Get that there. And at this end, well, I need a volute somewhere, probably about there. Come into there like that, come into there like that. I always end up drawing volutes the wrong way round. I think I'm going to have to sort of start carving it. I think that's probably the shape on this side, on the body side, but on the other side I'm not sure whether I go that way or this way. Obviously the end of there goes that way, and that's got to blend in with the rest of this headstock. Oh, I think I'm going to have to get carving. I'm thinking I'm going to have a go with the Japanese rasp saw to start off with, and then see how it goes from there. Now this is going to take a little while, and I've been giving my new bass guitar a bit of a workout, so yeah, I'm going to play you a track. So let's get going. Well folks, what a day. In some ways I've had some success, but I've had some failure, as you will have probably seen. So I got the binding on, I got it all sanded nicely, I shaped the back of the neck, and then I came to the headstock, which has got this rather ugly join in it, and me trying to carve a lute ended up with me going right the way through to the truss rod. So that's not going to work, is it? But I'm not giving up with this neck just yet. I've got some ideas. So you'll have to wait till next time. Anyway, thank you very much again for watching. Thank you for all your comments. I really enjoy reading those. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe if you like this sort of mayhem. Anyway, I'm going to clear up and well, I'll see you soon. Stay safe. Cheers.